Today we're going to discuss a common issue that most new freight brokers will encounter when you first start your freight broker business. This problem is many carriers are not going to want to work with you when you first start your business. The reason why is because you are a new freight broker. And when you're a new freight broker, you're given what's called an November rating. And it's a credit rating. It's just like, being new in the credit world on the personal side. If you go and try and purchase a car and you've never purchased a car before and you don't have an established credit history, you don't have credit cards, you don't have loans from banks, when you don't have that established credit history, then it's going to be a little bit harder for you to get a car. Doesn't mean that you can't get one, just means that it's going to be a little bit more difficult. You're going to have to navigate a few more hurdles in order to get that car. And they have what's called second chance lenders in the car world. Well, in the trucking world, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to talk to the carrier. You're going to have to talk to that truck driver. I preferred talking to owner operators when I first started because they are small business people just like me. They understand the difficulty in starting small businesses, and I figured that we had more in common than me talking to a huge company. So I would talk directly to owner operators when I first started my business. Many of those owner operators work with me based off of me having a conversation with them, talking with them about my priorities, and making them understand that my number one priority is to ensure that they get paid and get paid on time. Because we're in the business of moving loads. And when you are a freight broker and you don't have your own assets, then your number one priority when it comes down to that relationship with the trucker is to make sure that he gets paid on time. And that is going to set you up to do more and more business with that carrier and other carriers when you do what you say you're going to do. So that is so very important. Making sure that you pay the carrier on time when that carrier chooses to work with you. But yes, you are going to have carriers that are going to say you're too new as a freight broker for me to work with. Now, if that carrier doesn't want to work with you after you've talked to him and explained who you are, if he still decides and say, hey, I hear what you're saying, but I just can't take the chance. That's the answer that you get sometimes. And if you get that answer, your priority is to get the load moved. So you may want to tell the carrier, hey, well, I'll give you a fuel advance up front, or I'll pay half of the load up front. Many times carriers work with me after I told them that I would pay half of the load up front and then the other half when the load delivered. Now, what if the carrier still says no? Then your last option would be saying, hey, I will pay the entire load up front. I'll pay the entire load up front if you would go ahead and pick up the load. Once you picked up the load and send me a copy of the BOLs showing that the load has been picked up, then I will send an EFS check for the total amount to get the load moved. Now, that worked for me quite often, but again, that's not doing anything for your credit rating. It's getting the load moved, but ultimately, we want to get our credit rating established. And the way that you're going to be able to establish credit is moving loads and paying on time. But you have to have those opportunities. Now, once you move loads and pay on time, you want to record that somewhere. I use a company called TransCredit, and TransCredit allows for me to build my credit history. Basically, what happens is when I work with a carrier and I pay a carrier on time, then I have all of that carrier's information. I put it into TransCredit, and TransCredit will call that carrier, find out how many days it took me to pay the carrier, and that will start to establish my days to pay, my credit rating as a freight broker. That is what you're going to want to do. But the bottom line is many carriers are not going to work with you when you first get started, just simply off of you calling saying, hey, I have a load moving from point A to point B. We agree to the terms. But when they find out that you are a new broker, they're saying, hey, I don't want to work with you. That happens often. But, I would say, when I say often, I mean probably about 4 times out of 10. So we just have to be diligent in our efforts in going out and sourcing other carriers when that happens. Of course, I don't just move straight away from that carrier when they say, hey, I can't work with you. I'll talk to them, and when I see it's not going to go in the direction that I want it to go, then I will get off and go on and move on to the next carrier if necessary. So this is not an insurmountable obstacle by any stretch of the imagination. It happens. You're a new freight broker. You know, that's just how it works. A new freight broker, no established credit history. You have to work to establish that credit history. That's what we do as business owners. We get over and beyond obstacles that are put in front of us. This is not going to be your path is clear, clear blue 22. No, there are going to be some obstacles. It's going to get a little dark sometimes, and we have to find our way. That is what an entrepreneur is. We solve problems, and sometimes you're going to have to solve problems that are inside your own business, and that's one of the problems that you'll have to solve. So that's what we wanted to share with you today. I've left a link in the description box, our website. You can go to that website, register for our free webinar that gives you a look into the freight broker opportunity and our training program. Show you how it works, show you all of the benefits so that you can see it and make an informed decision on whether this program is a program that fits your skill set. So that is what we wanted to share with you today. I hope this has been helpful. See you at the top because the bottom is much too crowded.